Hello there, and welcome to the Lost Media Mysteries. Today I'll be talking about a canceled Disney film that almost got made, but was later reworked into a completely different film. And that canceled movie is none other than American Dog, a movie that was going to be released in 2007 and was going to be made by the Walt Disney Animation Studios and by Chris Sanders, who previously had worked on the 2002 hit Lilo and Stitch. Now, for those who don't know, Chris Sanders is an American filmmaker, animator, and voice actor who previously worked at Disney as an artist and storyboard artist, working on many movies like The Lion King and Mulan. Shortly after working on many Disney films during his time with the Disney Corporation, Sanders soon after began development on a movie he was working on, which later on became Lilo and Stitch, that was released in the summer of 2002 to critical acclaim and success. Stitch, prior to the movie, was a character that Chris had created back in 1985 for a children's book that never materialized. Just wanted to make a quick little correction here. The book, I believe, was materialized, but the pitch was rejected, so that whole book idea, that book never really went anywhere, but as already stated, the Stitch character would later be reused in the Lilo and Stitch movie. But that book the pitch never got accepted. So there. That's all I really had to say there. He had also made another book titled The Big Bear Aircraft that would criticize and poke fun at Disney's strategy on making films, as the name of the fake company was pure subtlety that it was critiquing Disney as a company. After the success of Lilo and Stitch, Chris later on began developing the process of a film titled American Dog, which was a movie about a dog named Henry who becomes a famous star of a TV show, but one day gets knocked out and lands in a train moving and meets up with two strange and bizarre characters, one who is a mutant rabbit and an eye-patched cat. And in the film would have many bizarre and wild encounters as Henry tries to find his way back home, but he thinks he is a superhero. The film was expected to be released sometime in 2007, but something had happened that pretty much prevented the film from going the direction that Chris wanted, as during the film's development, on January 24th, 2006, Bob Iger had purchased Pixar for $7.5 billion, which made John Lasseter the chief executive officer of Pixar, Walt Disney Animation Studios and Disney Toon Studios, which has since shut down since 2018. At one point, John Lasseter had come to Chris and made suggestions and some notes about how Chris could improve and change the film, to which Chris denied his requests and takes. Since Chris had refused to listen to John Lasseter, he was kicked off as a director from his own project, and eventually around March of 2007, Chris Sanders had left Disney and later moved on to DreamWorks Animation to work on the movie How to Train Your Dragon, which was released in 2010. And due to Sanders' refusal to take orders, the film was later reworked into the movie Bolt, which was released in 2008 with Chris Williams and Byron Howard replacing Chris Sanders, and was a very moderate success at the box office as it helped Disney throughout the financial and critical failures they were going through during the 2000s decade. The eye-patched cat character named Ogo Kesalu that appeared in the film was later reused in comics made by Chris Sanders sometime after the film's cancellation and reworking. Shortly after, around 2017 and 2018, John Lasseter was later fired from Disney due to several allegations of sexual misconduct from many female employees, resulting in John Lasseter's termination at Disney, though it was eventually brought over to Skydance Animation and has resulted in controversy. Eventually, after years of Chris Sanders departing from Disney, he eventually returned to Disney to direct the film Call of the Wild in 2020 under 20th Century Studios, formerly called 20th Century Fox, and has also made another film for DreamWorks Animation called The Wild Robot, which was released in 2024. Chris Sanders, too, since then has also reprised his role as Stitch for the upcoming unnecessary live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch, set to release sometime around 2025. Although the film was never completed due to Chris Sanders' refusing to listen to John Lasseter and the other Disney executives' orders on changing, improving, and rewriting the unfinished movie or otherwise concepts, since the film was never completed, only concept art, sketches, and of course a single test animation is all that exists of this film. I also forgot to include 3D models as well, because that's all that's been up online. Although they're unrendered models, but yeah, otherwise that's really all there is as of lately. So yeah, anyways, that's all for this episode of the Lost Media Mysteries. Stay tuned for the next episode. See you all later.